Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Triforce podcast. I am still a bit stuffy-nosed today, and Sips has a cold.
Damn,
Flax,
got a big cold.
Are you feeling good?
I am. I'm feeling good. I fly off to Singapore on Monday.
Oh,
wow! Already?
Yeah, long.
I'm super jealous because it's a long flight. But it's lovely and hot.
I'm just super jealous of the long flight. Are you taking kids with you or anything?
You want me to take your kids for a couple of weeks off to Sing Sing?
Just shove me on a plane for like 20 hours alone, I'm happy.
Heaven for you.
Hell yeah.
I suppose.
Oh no, I'm off. I'm off on Monday. We'll be there for 2 weeks. Going to be Diwali is going on. While I'm in Singapore, and Singapore has it's divided up into sort of quarters. Although I don't think they're actually quarters. There's like the Indian quarter, and there's the Chinese quarter, and there are some other quarters. So it's all kind of divided up. I don't believe intentionally, but I don't know. I'll find out when I get there. But apparently, the Diwali celebrations are like, oh, you've got to see it. It's unbelievable. Because I mean, we see Diwali stuff here in the UK. It's like fireworks and festivals and all the rest of it, which is fantastic. I've been to a couple of Diwali things. And it's wonderful. And seeing it out there, apparently, it's like unbelievable. So looking forward to that. Hopefully, we can get some of that on film.
There's a lot of cool stuff in Singapore, but it's quite small, really.
Yeah, so you can just stroll around it, and there's a bunch to see.
Nice.
I've been reading about it. The merlion is the spirit animal of Singapore. Apparently, it's like a lion that's a half lion, half mermaid. Merlion.
Merlion.
Yeah, and there's statues of the merlion all over the place. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
nice.
It's cool. It's cool. It's a cool place. Definitely worth going for a day or two.
How about 2 weeks?
I feel like 2 weeks is a long time to be there.
You're working, though, to be fair, right?
Yeah, but half the time I won't be working.
Yeah, but then you could just relax in your hotel and stuff, right? Like
I
go
can,
for a swim.
yeah, I can. Because of the way they've done TI this year, most of the people that I know will be in Norway. So yeah, they're doing like a remote broadcast for all of the panel and all the rest of it. But the casters will be out in Singapore. Right. I've known most of them longer than anybody else, so I'll be seeing them. So it's going to be fun. But it is 2 weeks on my laptop, which I fucking hate. I asked them if I could please have a PC. They're like, no. So I've had to buy a laptop because my other one is too old.
What kind of laptop did you buy? I mean, what are you going to be playing on it? Dota?
No, not Dota. No, I don't.
Civil War Generals.
American Ultimate General Civil War.
American Battleship.
Gettysburg Address.
I have actually been playing the Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, I think it's called. It's like
you have
D&D.
gone deep into these like role-playing games.
Yeah, I just they're really good now. Like the Solasta that I played, Solasta was kind of meh, but I finished it anyway because the combat was quite fun. But I feel like it was like, imagine if your first car, because I haven't really played that many of these games, your first car was like a piece of shit, but you loved it anyway because it was all you knew. And then you got to go in a really cool car. And you're like, oh, wow, this is so slick. So going from Solasta, which is a very budget kind of indie game, to Pathfinder, which is a very slick, seemingly very professional and huge game, felt pretty good. So I was like, oh, wow, this is so much smoother and so much prettier and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's really fun. I've been playing that. And I had a battle last night. It was one battle. It took 43 rounds or something like that. It took like nearly 2 hours to do this one fight. It just kept going on and on and on. It was mad. But yeah, so I enjoyed that.
Who are the characters you've got on your Wrath of the Righteous?
You only have one main character, and then you just recruit people as you go along. I would describe it as a very high fantasy setting. So
who have you picked?
I've got. Let me think. I'm just trying to remember the names. Is it?
Who are you as well? What are you?
I'm a sorcerer. I'm an arcane sorcerer. So not a charisma-based sorcerer.
Right.
I'm just an intelligence-based sorcerer. And
classic.
Yeah.
Brain
I just
boy.
thought I can stay at the back and zap. You know what I mean? Job done. And he's all right. I mean, I'm level 3, so my spells aren't great. It's kind of like magic missile. You just tickle the enemies. But I've got this woman called Sela. She's a paladin. I gave her this huge magical glaive. She's literally chopping people in half, and they explode into bits. It's very fun. And then I've got Ember, who's like some kind of a witch, and I've got this woman that's half
she's like
spider, half
homeless
cat. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, there's a lot of very cool. There's a lot of very cool classes.
Yeah.
In Pathfinder, and it's very there's a lot of weird subclasses to them all as well. I seem to remember.
Yeah.
So you
sort of
you'll
specialize.
start as like I don't know. There'll be like a slayer, and then it'll go into like a weird stuff
it feels kind of superhero-y.
Enforcer.
It feels like superhero-y D&D thing, but it is fun. And just the way the game plays and looks is really nice. It is a little fiddly because it's like Pathfinder, which is basically 3.5 edition D&D, which is a little bit more fiddly, whereas Solasta was 5th edition, which is much slicker and sort of pared down in terms of as a rule set. But I'm really looking forward to
so much of the work is done for you with the digital version.
Oh god, yeah.
But I think what I loved about Pathfinder was just how rich the rule set was, in a sense of how many abilities and overlapping things. But also, I mean, like a pretty good little story as well. I mean, remember we all played Divinity: Original Sin together. That was a good experience. It was
terrible.
Although it was a friendship challenge.
It was a terrible.
We all argued so much.
Oh god, that was frustrating. I just think in those kind of games you want to be controlling your party. And the thing is, you realise how hard it would be to actually be in a party, especially with slightly different alignments, because what the fuck are you going to do when your barbarian says, I'm going to attack these orcs? You're like, no, don't yet. And then it happens. Or your thief goes off and opens a chest and sets off a trap. You'd be like, fucking hell, this is impossible. So we were all playing our own characters, sort of running about. I remember you got very angry because Sips just looted everything and was sitting there with all this loot that you needed.
Yeah.
I remember that very well.
I love loot.
Oh, yeah, we all love loot, man.
Yeah. I get in there. I go big for the loot, you know? Why not?
Yeah, he does.
We all went out different play styles, and it didn't mesh well. The other thing about Divinity that I remember was most frustrating was that some people wanted to read the story, and others didn't give a shit about the story and wanted to skip the story. And so there was this like constant like tug back and forth of like whether or not we'd
pulling my pin.
Yeah. Well, I just felt like the fights in Divinity 2 are quite spaced out, whereas for example, the Pathfinder game, you're in like a dungeon area. There's fights every room, just little ones, but it keeps you doing something. You know what I mean? So you click in, you loot, and you click in, you loot, and you're casting spells, you're doing stuff. So I felt like it was just a bit more... With Divinity, I felt like every fight was like, oh my god, this is so fucking hard.
Yeah, some of them were so hard, the fights. They felt like a slog at first, right?
Yeah.
But then you kind of you develop like your little strategies and stuff, and it's not so bad.
Oh, but it was so rough. Some of those fights, we just had to do them like over and over again. Jesus.
Yeah.
I loved Pathfinder, actually. I don't know why I stopped playing. I think something else came along and I got distracted, but...
Talking of something else come along and you're getting distracted, Lewis, I've had an email from a guy called Toby.
Right.
He was the guy who stopped you in Queen Square in your van. Meeting him made my day, and then hearing about it in the podcast made his week.
Nice.
But then he says he saw you again when he drove his van around the main office, and you told him to go away.
I did. That was actually yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's really funny.
Is this email's just come in?
Well, was that like one of those, I remember seeing you just a day ago, and then you sort of say like, come on, stop following me around or whatever, like a joke? Or were you actually seriously telling him to get lost?
No, I
Take a hike.
Thing is, like, I was just around the corner. It's like a zebra crossing, and I was walking across the zebra crossing. He obviously saw me and drove onto the zebra crossing and like got in the way. And I was like, I recognized him straight away. I was like, oh hi. And he was like, he just sort of looked at me and was like, hi. No, what did he say? He said, shall I stop again? He said, shall I stop again? And I went, no, go away. As like a joke, partly because he was like stopped in the middle of the road, and there was nowhere convenient for him to stop either.
Nice.
So no, I just laughed. And that really made me laugh, actually. So Toby, thank you.
There you go. Here's another one. This might be a little late,
right?
Because this happened yesterday at about midnight. This email came on. Well, actually, this was a US time. I'm at a Walmart and my car won't start. Do you, Dads and Lewis, have any clue what the problem is? All the lights are on, so the battery is probably fine.
Right.
It tries to start but won't turn over. So starter motor.
The engine's flooded.
Might be the problem. Any idea?
Were you parked on a slant, on a slope? Like with the engine being at the bottom, because like I think a bunch of fluid can run into the engine and just kind of like you need to like turn it around and park it the opposite way around.
Walmart car parks not traditionally sloped in my experience.
Well, you don't know.
You never know.
You
I
never
mean,
know.
every road and car park has to be on a little bit of a slope, right? Because they got to be able to drain like water.
It has to be a pretty extreme slope for your car not to start on.
Well,
it,
maybe
though.
it's
I feel
just maybe it's just like a a lot of parking on a slope that's contributed to it, and then it just decided to fully seize up in the Walmart parking lot. It
I mean, it
happens.
obviously.
The fact that it tries
like-
to turn over means that
Yeah, it's just
I
going like,
think
woo, 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 woo,
like
woo, but
the
it doesn't
electrics
catch.
are okay.
Yeah,
Because he says the lights are on, but that doesn't mean a huge amount because I think the lights can run on quite low battery.
I think the engine is
It sounds
is
like starter
flooded.
motor.
Yeah.
it could be starter motor, or SIP says flooded engines. So,
Yes.
good luck.
Yeah.
Flooded engine sounds.
That's bad. Yeah. It's
sounds
bad. It's not you can recover from it, but it's pretty rough. Like your car will not start until it's unflooded. So
It might be your alternator, mate.
Yeah, good
you
luck
might need
with
to
that
get the
one.
alternator looked
Yeah.
at. That might.
don't park it
Have
on
you,
a slope.
have you tried licking the spark plugs, mate?
Yeah.
What you do is you get one of the spark plugs out, you lick it, you pop it back
Oh,
in.
you know what? It could actually be a spark plug. That could be a spark plug issue as well, right?
Could be.
Loose
Yeah,
connection
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
You got to gap the plugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might
Yeah,
be all
mate.
kludge in the spark plug.
Do you talk to your car regularly? Like you say nice things to it and stuff? Because
What,
sometimes
Erica? Yeah, I talk to her all the time.
Well, there you go. See, that's why Flax's car runs like a dream all the time. It's like a plane.
I thank my car like
You
I
gotta
said.
nurture your car, yeah.
Pat it on the dashboard and say, "God bless you, Erica."
That's such
for all
an
you've done."
old man.
Do you know what?
thing to
Speaking of
do.
cars, I just bought a new car. Not a new car. I bought a second-hand car. We've become a family that requires a runaround. The taxi service has expanded exponentially this year with clubs and engagements and whatever. And now we need to have another car so that we can
It's happened.
so that we can
Wow,
coordinate.
so what? You've been a one-car family up until this point
Yeah.
with 3 children.
A one car family, yeah. So now we got the car that you know, Lewis, the blue one, the nice big one. That is the dedicated baby car because it's got the baby's seat in it. It's there's
Right.
room in the trunk for her pram, all that kind of stuff. It's a bigger car, so if you need to go do shopping or whatever. And then we got a nice little. It's flashy. It's nice. It's really good. It looks cool. It's like a
Nice.
cool looking car, which is a lot smaller, far less trunk space. But my older kids really like it. They think it's really cool. It's a little bit more modern. It's like 2 years younger than the old car. So it's got like one of those cool computer screens, like when you're reversing and it's got the camera on the back and shit. It's got one of those. It was secondhand though. Like don't get carried away thinking that, I've joined the 1% or whatever, because I have not. It's still like still a bit of a banger, but it's nice. It's
Nice.
It's nice to have another car.
Feels fun to get to know that car as well. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Yeah. Accepting
Yeah.
it into the fold,
Getting it in the family.
Yeah, getting it into the family. Now and it has a job, and people recognize its role as well. And they're like, can we take the new car? Yes, we can. It's just me and you. We can do it. It's fine. So it's been kind of exciting. My kids have been really excited about it. We went for a nice drive and stuff. We went to drive out to a place to get some chips, but we did not get chips because it turns out this place received a 0-star health and hygiene review
Oh my
recently. So we did not get chips from this place. Yeah, I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you even open your doors after that.
First of all, how did you?
They have to have closed down.
Sorry, so you took the new ride out
Yeah.
for a spin, right?
Yeah.
And you went to get to a place that you hadn't been before. because, of
No,
course,
this is a
new
place
ride
that we
allows-
have been before.
Right.
Right.
But it's out there. It's like not where we normally go. Like it's not close to town or whatever. It's like out there because we took the car for a good old spin. The kids wanted to see what this thing was capable of. So we went for a big long drive. And they're like, can we get some chips? I was like, hell yeah, we can get some chips. You don't even need to ask. And then we went to this place, 0-star hygiene rating. Sorry, kids, we're not getting chips.
Yeah, there was a
we
Chinese
can't-
restaurant near me in the same boat.
Can't risk it.
They
Yeah.
published a thing. The local paper actually did something good for a change. They published all of the local restaurants and everything's hygiene rating because quite often you don't look, you don't
No,
notice, especially
yeah.
if you're ordering online.
Yeah.
That's a thing that they could put on Deliveroo. Actually, is the hygiene rating.
That
of
is
some
a
of these
really
restaurants.
good play by your local paper.
Yeah,
I
and
feel
I was
like that's almost big up. material for this
I
week.
believe it would be bigger. This was a few years ago, but one of them was a Chinese restaurant that I had eaten at many times. They had a 0, is now a 5.
Right.
Subsequently,
So
I mean,
turned it
honestly, they did. Sister, it does fucking matter. Like there were places who were like, "Oh God, please don't let so and so be low rating." But the reason they published it is because a restaurant near me that was like a staple, one of those places everybody went to, turned out it had a lot of rats in the kitchen and got like a 0 and had to shut down.
Oh no!
Also, we all thought the guy who ran it was Italian. I'm pretty sure I spoke about this before, actually.
Right.
Just a little throwback there, but we would go there and it was like an Italian place and everybody ate there and it was like we thought the family there was Italian, we thought he was Italian. He wasn't, he was Persian.
Right.
And he just never corrected anybody.
What was
they
his
had all
name?
Italian flags hanging around. I can't remember what his name was. This is
right.
a good few years ago now, but he was not Italian at all. But we all thought he was. It was just quite funny. So not only was he secretly not Italian, he secretly was basically running the Ratatouille kitchen. It was pretty bad.
Jesus. Yeah, I just don't. I cannot trust a place that gets a 0. And
Agreed.
I don't even know how you turn that around or stay open or whatever. Like I would think you would just have to close down in utter shame, right? Like
You'd think so, but
we just have not been able to do it. Sorry.
I'm amazed that
A
you're
0.
allowed to keep going if you're a 0.
I don't think you are. I think they have
I thought
to
there would
close you
be
down, right?
regulations, yeah.
But there's got to be some period where you are still open for a little bit. Like they break the news. I don't think they come in. It's not like that guy from Ghostbusters where they come in and just shut you down immediately, you know? Like
Walter Peck from
Walter
the EPA.
Peck, and like they turn off the
What did you
containment
do
unit.
here, Dr. Venkman?
It's true, Mayor. This man has no dick.
Is this Wally's Chippy, the one you went to?
Yeah, that's the one. Is it still open?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just reading the hygiene thing.
All
So
right.
apparently,
There's a couple. There was like a fancy 4-star restaurant as well that got a 0 rating. So I think it's like
the Chateau Le Chair.
That's the one. Yeah,
a flagship visitors hotel.
So there's a couple of places, and I feel like it all happened around the same time. I feel like there's like some weird technicality somewhere, you know, where like they changed how they rate or something like that, and none of these places, they probably got the memo, but they ignored it and then didn't do these like 2 or 3 things that they needed to change. Didn't do it, and then, you know, somebody just got annoyed with them and said, "Fine, it's a 0." And then they were scrambling around trying to save their business, because obviously that's kind of like a death sentence, isn't it, for a restaurant to get a 0 and get closed down. So it's a weird one. I don't know
Eating
much
out
about
is
it.
always like, it's such an interesting thing, isn't it? You're always worried or wondering about whether a place is good or bad. It's always like super hard to tell because you don't know what's going on in the back room. You don't know who's running this place. You know? And like, I guess also, I think it's like one of these things where it could just go bad and the people running it like almost don't see.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're like so used to it, or they're so desperate to like carry on, or they're just like they don't have the staff or the energy or the effort or the money or whatever it is.
I think there's also a lack of knowledge about what counts as safe and unsafe. I think there are a lot of people, if you've been doing things for years one way and you've never had complaints, you just think, well, this is fine. Just a mouse, you know, or whatever. It's like we got rid of him, we put a trap down, or it's just stuff like that. So I think a lot of it is like a lack of understanding about what is considered professional food handling. So labeling and dating everything so you know exactly how old it is. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. If the food inspector comes into the kitchen and there's just containers in the fridge, they would rate you down, I think, if it doesn't have any markings indicating this is how old this shit
Gordon
is.
Ramsay comes in and finds like just a whole bunch of like really frozen chickens in your freezer.
Look at that! Look at that! What is that? Oh my god!
Gets annoyed.
Yeah,
gray meat. That he's found at the back of the fridge.
My kids love and hate that bit. They love it. When he pulls the chicken, it's like just runny grey chicken.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's like
with his
oozing.
bare hands. They're like, oh my god. Oh man.
Every time.
Right. Here we go. Another email. This is from Sam, a teacher in Sheffield. And we talk about names quite often and what are like older names and unusual names. So these are some of the names that they've seen. These are the most common girls' names that they've seen recently. Evelyn.
Okay.
Evelyn. Very popular.
It's making a comeback.
Rare not to have one in a class, apparently. Agnes and Agatha, increasingly popular.
Right.
David, no longer just for middle-aged men, says Sam.
David's back.
David's back. And some other older boys' names that he's seen. Eric, with a K, so it doesn't really count. Edgar,
Okay.
Andrew, Michael, Gregory, and Chris
No way.
on the comeback.
It's
apparently.
all coming back round. See?
Coming back full
Gregory.
It's like fashion. It goes in circles, right? They say. So I was watching what was I watching? I was watching The Crown, and it's the final or most recent season. I'm just at the end of it, which is of course during the Thatcher era, the 80s and stuff. And you see some of the fashion, and you think, hang on a second, there's still people wearing that kind of stuff today. Like it's I don't know if it's maybe because they're trying to recreate what it was like in the 80s with like, you know, today in mind or something, or what, but you can see it time to time, right? Fashion come back around. I saw somebody out and about like in town the other day, and I thought I'd gone back in time to the 90s. They had like these massive pants, like huge, like, you know, skater pants with you couldn't even see their shoes because the bottoms were so big, and like a big Nirvana hoodie and like a toque and stuff. They looked all grungy. It was kind of nice to see, actually.
Just discovered Nirvana.
Yeah.
And this is a big thing.
In 2022, yeah. It's
I wonder if their
see.
name is Laird or Brecken or Bodie or Topher.
Wait, Bodie is not.
Or Cutter or
Cuddy
or Braxton. These are names I've just had from Seth has sent me in a list of names from Utah.
Oh, right.
Which is notorious for these names because they have the highest birth rate in America in Utah. So there's a lot of names and people try to be different. Trevin, that's pretty fucking awful. Eterick, good God.
Why are people fucking so much in Utah, I wonder?
What else is there to do?
What's in the water? What's going on?
God, those names are just they're just noises.
Question.
I feel like the 80s fashion.
Just the sound of a burp. That's your name. Just a fart sound.
How do you write that down as well? It's got like phonetic spelling. Belcher. That sounds like a cool name, you know.
Yeah.
That sounds like a name of a kid in a Roald Dahl book, though.
Yeah.
You know, I think like do you think like Stranger Things and these sort of things have influences on fashion style?
I think they probably do a little bit.
Is that what?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they all have minor impacts. Like gothic stuff, like goth clothing and kind of style has always been heavily influenced by like the Addams Family. And stuff like this, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. But I mean, I feel like there's hints of like Saved by the Bell fashion like around right now, or maybe coming back, like especially like those hiked up jeans, you know, you see girls wearing them that are like they're like really pulled up quite high, like Jesse Katsopoulos, Kelly Kapowski style sort of thing. You see that nowadays more so than you would have. So I guess that's like come back somehow. I don't know.
I think the Teddy Fresh like color block stuff is quite 80s in a sense of its like color scheme.
Where did
those mixed pastel colors?
Where did this men's fashion come where your jeans are really tight and they ride right up the ankle, but then you wear loafers with no socks? Like what?
I don't know. The no socks thing drives me up the wall.
What is
a pair of fucking socks?
I'm
what are
very
you doing?
confused.
Why is this happening?
I don't know.
Put some socks on and get some jeans that go down to your shoe and like cover the top of your shoe slightly. Like,
do it now.
What are you doing?
What is wrong with you? What are you doing?
Yeah,
it is weird that shorter like cut like those ankle jeans or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't look awful. I don't understand.
How do you even get them on? My feet are too big. I wouldn't be able to get them through the little tiny ankle holes at the bottom.
You know, I think we're talking about Joe.
Joe
wears those kind of ankle show off.
Well,
jeans
maybe we need to get into the mind of Joe then and find out what the fuck is going on. Because
can you ask Joe next time you see him?
Somebody ask Joe. What is he thinking? Does he have a mirror at home or what?
Joe Hickson.
Yes, Joe Hickson.
Cool Joe. I mean, he might just be too big for normal jeans, so they just stop.
Also, do your shoes
very
just
long.
fucking
He's a long boy.
Stink like hell? Like they must do if you're not wearing socks in them.
You think so?
Every time I've ever worn shoes without socks, they immediately smell like hell. Like it's
agreed.
I don't know. I think the people who are wearing them probably have like I don't know if they use those roll-ons on their feet or like I don't know. They're
what does work?
Feet. What?
Pair of fucking socks.
When I was growing up, my dad was a police officer and he had a whole bunch of weird jobs in the police. Like he worked in ident, which is like, you know, he'd go to crime scenes and have to take pictures and stuff, you know, like and develop all the photos and put together all the case files and evidence and all that kind of stuff. And through that, he had access to this powder that they would use to mask the smell of a dead body, right? Like so if they're at a scene and they're taking pictures and it reeks, they could use this powder and it wouldn't like interfere with anything or whatever, and it would just sort of take the edge off the smell, right? So that they could do their jobs without puking every 5 seconds or whatever. So I had a pair of shoes that I used to wear as a kid during the summer, and I was wearing them this particular summer without socks, and they stunk. And he brought that powder home to put into my shoes from work to mask the smell, because he said the smell was so bad, the whole like front passage of our house just was enveloped with this fucking foot smell. So he brought this powder home and sprinkled it in my shoes to get rid of the smell.
Embalming powder or something? Do you like embalm your shoes?
I don't know. You know what I'd like to do when my kids come in from school? You know, in Shawshank Redemption, when he turns up at the prison, they throw that delousing powder on him. I'd like to get a bucket of that de-stinking powder. And when my kids come in, I just like, boom, just douse them with de-stinker.
Yeah.
Because my kids reek. They get to a certain age.
Man, you want to do a 12 monkeys on them and just fucking hose them down with a power washer. Like,
seriously. You know? I mean, they're basically, I'm going to have 2 teenagers. And teenagers, you don't know it.
They stink,
but when you're going through puberty, you fucking reek. Like, you really do stink.
Yeah, once your hormones start going and shit, like under your arms stinks if you don't keep on top of it. Like, you just start to stink a bit, right?
Loads of people stink all the time. I like not even people, like things stink. Like a lot of people have these like jackets that stink, or like people's cars stink. Like I've got this friend of mine who's got this he's got a couple of young babies, and he's also got like this big dog, and so the car is just, you know, the dad van is just basically full of,
really stinks.
It smells like baby sick and dog and wet dog, and it's like this fucking stinks, dude.
I remember
I told him, and I felt bad, and he was like, I'm used to it now. I can't smell it. And I'm like, man, just fucking I don't know, get some of that embalming powder or something. Just scatter it around in here.
I remember when I was a teenager, we'd all started smoking, and we smoked a lot when we were teenagers. And a very typical thing to happen to you as a teenager is, because you don't really have resources, is you'll get stuck out in the rain or something, right? Or you end up having to walk like 2 miles in the fucking rain or the snow or some shit. Anyway, there were definitely situations where people would turn up after getting caught out in some weather thing, you know, where they didn't have access to their car, they couldn't get a ride or something, so they'd turn up to your house soaking wet or whatever. But because we were all smoking at the time too, all of our clothes just reeked of cigarettes, but then combined with them getting all wet and muddy and shit like that too. Somebody come over to your house and then you'd want to break that powder out again. Just like mask the smell. Just
the weird thing is, like, some people stink and it's actually like kind of a nice cozy stink. It's like Tom obviously is a smoker, right?
Like a musty, like an old Tom man Clark smell, you know? Like if you go
and visit. So he has like this kind of tobacco-y aroma around him all the time. And it's like, fine. It's quite nice, right? But I guess other people might find that unpleasant.
In a coat, I don't think it's too bad. I think if you wear like a toque all the time and you can smell like your greasy hair and then cigarettes as well, not ideal. I would say that's kind of gross, right? And you get elements of that depending. I'm sure I'm not the best. Also, my washing machine is broken somehow at the moment, and it won't take the fabric softener. So all of my laundry is like.
What do you mean it won't take it? It just says no.
It's all clogged up.
It won't take the fabric softener.
You got to get it.
What does that mean?
It's congealed all around the entry point. You got to have to flush it out somehow.
No, I took the drawer out. I cleaned it all out.
No, it's not the drawer. It's like the little pipe. The pipe
You're going to have to sluice it.
You're going to have to sluice it.
I love the word sluice. Sluice that.
I think I'm going to have to get some
Drano down there.
Get some sluice action.
You got to get some Drano down there and cut the grease.
I did a hot wash with it, and it sort of didn't help anything.
So you can just put it directly on the clothes. You don't have to put it in a fucking drawer.
I wouldn't.
I never put washing liquid in the drawer. I put it straight on the clothes.
No, the washing liquid's going in fine. I'm putting that in the drawer, but the fabric softener.
You ever put any of that?
Stage.
You ever put any of that fucking antibacterial shit in there, like the 99% kills everything stuff?
I don't think so.
Dettol?
I don't think there's no smell in there, so I think it's fine. The old washing machine.
Yeah.
It's a Miele. Miele, by the way,
directly in the drum.
Miele, Miele. Yeah, well, they say that. So you gum up your machine, and it's all a ploy. It's a play by big washing.
It's kind of like those phones where you buy the phone and it's great, and then 2 years later you find the battery lasts like 5 minutes, and it's all a big scam
Big ploy.
to get you to
Well, anyway,
buy a new one.
I feel like all of my washing lately has just been a bit dank.
Oh,
Mine's
I
just
don't know.
been covered in snot.
Oh, no, here's a smell
I got
for you.
puked on last night.
Here's a smell for you. You put a load of washing in the machine. You set it going overnight. You forget to put it in the tumble dryer.
Oh, yeah.
Take it out.
Yeah.
You open it.
It smells
that
like
smell
cheese, yeah.
is disgusting.
It really
it's
is,
like
yeah.
such a rank death smell.
Well, this is the thing. I feel like all of my clothes smell just a tiny little bit like that.
So you need to
you
get
need to make sure you
clean
get
out
on the
that machine,
dryer.
I think.
And don't get a combo washer dryer. They're no good. You need a
they're no
separate
good.
tumble dryer.
Need a separate. Got to be
A high weight one as
Yeah.
well.
All right, now here's a question. Where do you keep your washing machine and tumble dryer? Because ours are in the kitchen. That's very common in the UK.
Yeah.
But a lot of other countries, they keep it in the bathroom. Where in the UK, you tend not to have a utility room.
No.
Because most houses aren't big enough. But a lot of people I know overseas, they can't believe that you keep the tumble dryer.
Well, we just
and
don't have the
washing
space
machine
over here. Everything's a lot more compact, right? So we're the same.
I
We
think
have our
that's a part of it.
washing machine in the kitchen, and the tumble dryer is in the garage right behind me, actually. It used to be in the kitchen, but we moved it out here because before I had the garage done, it was a bit dungeony and dusty and stuff. But now that it's like an office, we can actually have some stuff out here. So the tumble dryer is one of those things.
All right, well, here's another email from the old bag. This is from Omar. So,
Omar coming?
Omar
Little.
Omar Little. Omar on the block. Recently, I've been keen on a coworker of mine, and we chat extensively whenever our shifts co-align.
Right.
Even outside of work, we chat a lot, and her messages and talks are always rather flirtatious.
Right.
I'd previously asked her out, but I played it off as not that big of a deal, more of a shot in the dark, and was rejected due to the unfortunate timing of her boyfriend breaking up with her just about a week before.
Oh.
All caps, in brackets, note, I did not know this prior. It's all right, Omar, I'm not judging.
That's fine, Omar.
I want to ask you guys what course of action I should take. Should I let the feelings die down? Or more, I should try to be there as a friend until a different moment and ask again.
Okay,
Problem of the heart, so help a boy out.
I would not.
feel like-
I would personally not try again. Like after the first time, I would say, okay, she wasn't up for it. The ball is like in her court now. You know, I would just carry on like you're doing. You know, having nice chats and stuff like that, and then just see what happens. And if nothing happens, well, that's just somebody that you can have a nice chat with and go find someone else. You know what I mean?
I think the main thing is not to over strategize in any of these events.
Yeah.
And there was a very strong tendency among the dating population just to treat it like a fucking game of Risk and decide whether to push for South America or go in via Irkutsk. You know, you can chill, and you can just see how it goes, maintain what you've got for the time being, and then if the occasion arises, like Sip says, then make a play. But don't think, I'll mark a date on the calendar or press for when can I ask you out. Just let it grow organically.
Yeah, why don't
otherwise
just,
it's a big term.
Sometimes you just got to take a look at what you've got and just say, yeah, this is cool. I can keep just this, like this. It doesn't need to go any further. You know what I mean? Like, it's just nice to have a good chat with somebody that, you know, is a bit flirtatious or whatever. And that can just be that, right? It doesn't need to be anything more. Like, if you've tried, especially, and like maybe the timing wasn't right that time or whatever, but I don't think I would try again. I would just sort of leave it as it is and just see what happens, you know?
I'm thinking there's a couple of things here. One, when you asked her out, you didn't know that she'd had a breakup, but does that mean you didn't know she had a boyfriend?
I would suggest that is a very good sign, Omar. Because if you're talking to someone and they never mention their boyfriend or their wife or whatever, that's because they want to leave open the potential. And then if things turn south and they decide they're not interested, then they start talking about their boyfriend.
Yeah, if people aren't interested in you, the first thing they do is mention their boyfriend or girlfriend, right?
And then you're like, okay.
But then
big
the
flag
rejection
being
of
waved
you,
here.
the rejection, I feel like, is a very easy excuse, right? And a very lazy one too. It's almost like,
well, she just broke up with her boyfriend. That is fair enough.
I don't know though. I think you could have said, like, I don't know. Like, my concern with that is that seems like. Yeah, like Sip said, the ball is in her court now. I wouldn't ask again because I think that I would expect another excuse along those lines, like, oh, you know, I've got still sorting myself out, or, you know, I think that she always has, I'm not ready yet. You know, there's always a very easy excuse.
Well, this is one time,
but she's trying to break it to you gently too, right? Like, you know,
I would say, Lewis, be brave. Fair heart, ne'er won, fair maid, right?
Yeah.
You got to be brave. You got to be ready for some
Crap a DM, I say.
Indeed, crap a DM all
Crap
over
a DM
that bitch,
all
and
up
make
in
sure.
on that.
Yeah, you could be sluicing her in a few matter of weeks. You just got to bide your time.
I think if she's interested in you, she'll make that clear in some way. You know, she'll find ways to hang out with you. She'll mention hanging out with you. You'll spend time together naturally.
Exactly.
And then you won't have to ask her out, inverted commas, because you already have just been going out, doing stuff together, right? I think going for some sort of plan is or Hollywood style. Would you like to go on a drink with me? Or kind
Would
of
you
thing
like to go on a drink?
Would you like to go on a drink with me, or maybe go flying on a plate and eat some food?
Maybe we could share a sody pop together.
Sody pop down at the drugstore.
I hear there's a new chipping Savoy place down the way.
They love Savoys.
Wally's Chip Shop.
You want to get a Savoy?
I love that people seek dating advice from people that have been married for like 2 decades. That's nice.
And an idiot. Yeah.
And a moron as well. Yeah. No, I'm just joking.
Not helpful.
I'm just joking.
I guess my feeling is, if like in my experience, if they're interested in you, they'll let you know, right? I think that, and in some ways, you can make yourself more attractive by just not being too hungry for it, right?
Yes.
Like, I think that
that's
in some
like
ways,
like a tried, tested, and true method, isn't it? For people in a lot of cases, right? Don't be the eager person. You know, just chill a bit and wait to see what happens.
Chill.
I think that's
just be a cool guy to hang out with that is around and interesting and fun. And
if it doesn't happen,
and you'll find that other people will be attracted to you as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
People are.
Yeah. All right, we got
people
another
are
one
always
here.
attracted to that one guy that treats them like crap and doesn't give a shit about them, right? Like this is like
that's
right.
exactly,
I didn't think of that strategy.
Yeah, so there you go. That just start being aloof.
Women love a man who's a complete piece of shit. Everybody knows this, right?
I mean,
Everybody knows this.
Yeah.
All right, this is from someone whose name is redacted for security purposes.
Right.
Oh.
I am a Royal Engineer in the British Army.
Right.
Who specializes in explosive ordnance disposal and search.
Right.
This means when bombs are found, I'm part of the team that either high orders it, which is setting plastic explosives to blow it up right where it is, or low orders it, which is cutting a bomb open and burning the explosive material without damaging surrounding structures.
That sounds a bit more
I also do
boring.
the search aspect of finding the bombs, World War II bombs or IEDs, with special metal detectors, ground-penetrating radars, and the like. I don't have any questions for you guys.
Nice. Well,
However,
why
please
would
respond. Please respond if you have any questions.
I'd love it if he was
work.
like, "Yeah, I've got this. I'm on a case right now where there's
do I cut the red wire or the blue wire
or a red wire, and I'm here right now, and I'm poised to cut one of them."
He could get back to me. This was 16 hours ago, so it could well be that he's on a. I'm currently sweating my balls off looking at a pile of bombs. Now, what's the best approach?
Yeah.
No. So, do we have any questions about that? I would say primarily, what is the closest you've come to fucking up? And, like, you know, where you were just like, oh shit, like literally that moment in Lethal Weapon where he says, Roger, grab the cat, and they run out of the underground car park. Does that kind of shit happen where you're like, oh, we fucked up, everybody get out of here? Also, do you really use that liquid nitrogen and stuff to cool the explosives so you can get in there and do stuff? And how accurate was the Hurt Locker? Did that feel like
is there a little dome that you could put over top of an explosive that will contain the explosion? Because I feel like if somebody could invent a little dome like that, well, that would be really good for your job.
I think that's actually worse.
Why?
Because you're confining the explosion. If you look, I think that it might be a Mythbusters. I could be wrong.
Well, you can combine
they put like a firecracker on like a brick,
and
it just went bang. And then they put a helmet over it, and it went bang, and the helmet went like 100 feet up in the air.
Holy crap.
So if you contain the explosion, the force is like, it isn't just lost very quickly.
What if you bolt it down?
In the atmosphere.
What if you, like, I'm talking like bridge bolts, like big
I'm sure they do
bolts.
something like that. Like a huge metal helmet that they put on there, and they
you're basically
carefully
just talking
bolt
about
it
a
down.
grenade here, right? Aren't you? That's what that is, right?
What? The helmet?
Yeah,
The
like
helmet
no,
is
like
not
it's
a
an
grenade,
explosion
Lewis.
surrounded by metal.
Oh man.
right?
Well, it would have to be so thick that the explosion is like contained, so it doesn't. You don't basically turn it into a giant grenade. That would be bad.
Oh,
Well,
let's put loads
know.
of sharp bits of metal around it. That sounds like a good idea. But I'm maybe they could put like some kind of a special.
Maybe
dome.
just pile a load of nails on it. You know, how does that sound? Yeah, I don't know.
Cover it in nails and glass and stuff. So yeah, those are. Get back to us on that if you can.
That is a fascinating job. I'm imagining like all of these jobs. It sounds incredibly glamorous, and we have this imagination of what it is. But the reality is, 90% of the time, you're sat around, you know, doing regular boring stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then there must be these awful worrying moments where someone's unearthed something in the garden, you know, and it turns out it's just an old lamp or something, you know, and it's not actually a bomb.
God, yeah. Anyway, give us some stories.
God,
like to hear
defusing these old bombs must be such a fucking crapshoot.
I just the thing that unnerves me the most about that job is that if you do fuck up, there's no time for you to like really react, right? Like if you cut the wrong wire, immediately you're dead. Like that's it. Like
there's no surrender
lights
option.
out, bucko. Yeah, like there's no like, oh shit, maybe I can retry that, or you know, you're either dead or you're like fucking catastrophically maimed. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
No thanks.
Jesus Christ.
Good Lord. All right, I just a follow up to that is, how many people have you spoken to that are in the army or the military and deeply regret being there? Like, I've spoken to a few squaddies and stuff over the years, especially when I was working at BAE, and they all said to me, don't ever join the army, it's dog shit. That was their take. I'd be interested to hear your take.
Right.
It sounds like you do something more interesting than they did. All right, here's one. This is from Josh. This is about bumper stickers. We were talking about bumper stickers.
Oh, yeah, like honk if you're horny and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, for one thing, I said that your rear window has to be clear. Apparently, that's not the case. But your side mirrors, your wing mirrors, do have to give you a clear view behind the car. So if you are going to block up your rear window, and people said, oh, lol, what about vans? Well, they have very wide wing mirrors. If you look at vans, the wing mirrors come out much further than they do on cars. They're on like little arms. So they can see behind them. And of course, you know, except I said if you have a rear window, I'm pretty sure it would have to be clear. I think police could stop you, and apparently if you're overloaded, they'll stop you for being overloaded is one thing. If your car is too heavy, that can be a thing, because I think it would be a safety issue. You wouldn't necessarily be able to brake as quickly. But you have to be able to see behind the car pretty well with your wing mirrors. Mine are covered in spider webs all the time, so be careful. Anyway, this is from Josh. Hi, legends. Please read this in your Australian accent, Flax. Okay, hold on. You guys were talking about bumper stickers, and I think Australia has the worst in the world. People often go to Bali for their trashy holidays. A mate went once and came back with bumper stickers that said, I lost my foreskin and I fuck midgets. Similarly, blokes in their utes will have their stickers that say, diesel soot gets the mutt. Mutt is a gross word for vagina, among other similar stuff. Really drives me mad. Anyway, have a good one. P.S. Lewis might be a sperm doctor offspring because his take on the matter was deformed. Get your DNA check, Lewis.
There you go. Yeah, you did have a pretty fucking deformed take on that one, if I recall.
I don't know if it's diesel soot gets the moot or mutt, but it's pretty pretty gross term.
Yeah, it is a kind of a gross
awful
term, isn't it? I don't appreciate somebody calling it a cock either. I don't like that. I just, it's hard for me to say too, right? Like, I would never be like, oh yeah, my cock. Like, it just, I don't know, it's weird, right? Like, I would just say like, oh, my willy, oh, my
dingle dangle.
My my Johnson. But like, cock just seems like, I don't know.
I guess it's like minge or like one of these other horrible words.
Minge is horrible.
Minge.
That's I think that's the worst one.
Like, I will say dick, no problem. I don't mind saying, oh, my dick. But I would never refer to it as my cock. Like, it just seems such
what's the worst word for dick that you can think of? But then when you think of, like, the ones for women, like I don't know, an axe wound or a sausage wallet, any of these things are just fucking awful. Do you know what I mean? It sounds so bad.
Oh, my God.
It's so much worse.
Oh, for me, I can't think of to describe a penis. For me, the worst is cock. Like, I can't think. Everything else is kind of comical, but cock is just like, I don't know. It's just I just find it like a bit awkward. You know, like, I don't know. There's just something about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do.
No.
I've got it. Oddly enough, I've got a
Huge cock.
I've got an email
I need
here.
some horrible words for Dick to even the playing field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this. Yeah,
Send them
they're all
in.
fairly powerful sounding, aren't they?
Well, you
But,
could call it your Wang. You could call it your Todger. You could call it your Tallywhacker. You know
your old chap.
your old chap, your Johnson, your Dick, your penis, your Pensy, your Peni. Like there's these are all okay.
Peni would be the multiple of penis, wouldn't it?
Sure, but like
How many you got
whatever,
down
you
there?
know, like it's just none of these words I find overly offensive. But when somebody's like my cock, like it just I don't know, it's kind of offensive. No, like it just
There
seems a
must
bit
be
odd.
some bad ones like veiny bang stick or like
Well, I mean,
Oh
come on.
my
like
God.
like pork spam javelin. There must be like a lot of weird stupid ones.
Yeah, no, those are
Oh.
fucking stupid. Like I would not be offended by those.
No, I think they're jokes.
Yeah.
But anyway. All right, I got it. This is a cracker. This is trivia about the podcast.
Oh, okay.
And we have to try and answer the trivia.
Oh, these are
Oh,
fun.
I like
These are
these
fun.
ones.
I like these ones.
So here's one. How many episodes did it take? This is from Martine, by the way.
Martine.
Yeah.
McCutcheon?
How many episodes?
this is my
sadly
perfect
not.
moment.
No, it's. I think it's a lad called Martin, but it's pronounced Martine. So sure. How many episodes did it take Lewis to make fun of Pyrian's bald head?
Oh god, that had to have happened in at least the first 5 episodes, I would say.
Lewis?
I think I don't know. I don't know. Let's say I'd say 20.
Okay. It took 2 episodes.
Okay, shit.
2
At
episodes.
the beginning of 2.
I
And
thought
this
it
was
was
at
a
the
trick. I
beginning
thought
of
it was
episode 2.
longer.
No, at the beginning of episode 2, you mentioned how the animated triangle figures of us that I had to have shine on my bald head on the animated triangle. And
Right.
I believe I do. So there you go. It's not even 2 full episodes. That's 1 episode and then the very start of the second episode it comes in. All right, here's one. Where did the name Triforce derive from?
It was it's from the Legend of Zelda.
Incorrect.
It's the 3 it's meant to be the 3 triangles that come together to
I think that was a subsequent thing that we came up with.
create
Was it
the
from
power.
Team Double Dragon? We wanted to have a video
not.
game name. We wanted to be
No, it was not.
three of us instead of
No.
double.
No? Do you want the answer?
Yeah.
Do you remember? I think I told you guys that my nickname at one point was T-Force.
Oh,
That's right. T-Force.
And we were like, oh, well, we should call it Triforce.
Yeah.
We suggested the following other possible names. Stone Cold Podcast.
Oh yeah, that would have been fucking good actually. But I think people would have expected a lot of wrestling talk.
Yeah, they would have. My Two Dads, the podcast. And The Brindley Prospect, the podcast.
The Brindley prospect. That sounds like a conspiracy theory.
It really does. That's like the Mandela effect, the Brindley Prospect.
It sounds like a shit.
Wait, is there a
horror film
TV show
from the
called
80s.
2.5 Men? Because we could have called
It's-
the
there is.
podcast that as well.
2.5 Men. Here's another one. What was the first computer game that we discussed on the podcast?
Oh, back at the time, it would have been probably like XCOM 2 or maybe like Hearts of Iron or something like that. I'd say XCOM 2.
I'd say it was probably. I can't go like half an hour without talking about World of Warcraft. I think it's probably World of Warcraft.
The answer is Dota 2.
Oh,
Oh shit!
And this was when we were trying to figure out a
Shit.
name for the podcast. Scrub Dota came up as an example of a good name.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Now, trivia challenge number 5. Which famous fictional serial killer was Sips going to name his son after?
Buffalo Bill.
Ted Bundy?
No, Ted Bundy's not fictional.
Oh, fictional. Sorry.
Fictional serial killer. Hannibal
Yeah.
Lecter.
No.
You were going to name your son after a fictional serial killer.
I'm just trying to think what fictional serial killer would have
Think
even
of
registered
a TV show. A TV show.
even
perhaps.
registered with me.
Something that
Dexter.
you've watched. Dexter.
That's
There you
right.
go.
We were
Oh my
toying
God,
with the
you're
idea
right.
of potentially naming him Dexter at one point, but then thought it's a bit creepy because we would be naming him after a serial killer.
There are
Yeah.
Dexters in your kids' classes, though, aren't there?
There are, yeah. Not so much in my son's class. In my 7-year-old daughter's class, there's some Dexters. It seems more popular.
Yeah.
Got keep an eye out for 'em.
for that age.
And then,
Well, actually,
finally,
if you're worried about Dexters, remember they're good serial killers, so they only kill people who are suspected of or
one of those
guilty of
good
crimes.
serial killers that we've all
Yeah,
heard so much
they're
about.
more like a vigilante, though, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Everyone loves a vigilante,
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Finally, this is just more of a sort of interesting sort of thing about how long we've been doing this podcast, I guess. This was in an older episode. I was talking about how when we drove down to Dorset, we would always go past Thorpe Park, and my kids were too young to ride the rides, and they would always see it, and they would always want to go, and they'd be kind of like longing for that day. And of course, full circle, in a more recent episode, I have taken my second child to the park, and she didn't have much fun there, if you guys remember.
Yes.
So I took them both to it. So that's how long we've been doing it. From a point where neither of them could go to the point where they've both been. And one loved it, and one hated it. That's pretty much the way it goes.
Yeah.
That's
It
life,
is.
though, isn't it?
That's
you know?
life. That's
you
life.
You might have a lovely
That's
time in
life.
Singapore, and you might hate it.
Yeah. I hope that you don't hate it, though. I hope that you have a great time. And the
I
thing
don't
is,
think I'm going to hate
if you're there and you're disappointed, just use the time to just, relax, recoup a little bit, regenerate, catch up on some TV, maybe catch up on some games or something. You know what I mean? Just enjoy that time.
I'm gonna enjoy looking around Singapore. The food is meant to be very good.
Yeah.
So I am looking forward to that, and seeing a lot of people there that I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them since the last TI and stuff like that. So I'm gonna make the best of it, because I know 2 weeks away from the family and friends and streaming and all the rest of it. It's hard when you get older to go away.
When does
but the hotel's nice and everything. So
when is the first when is the first day of TI officially? Like when? Because I'm going to probably get back into Dota for like a month.
Let me think. So I'm going out at the start of next week. I think it starts on Thursday. Might be Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think because it's quite a few days of main stage stuff. So there's group stage stuff, I think, starting next week.
Right.
And then I get there, and then we have the main stage stuff. And then there's like a 5-day gap before the grand finals. So it's going to be a weird one, because it's going to be a lot of time with the players not doing anything, us not doing anything, while we wait for, I guess, the upper bracket, lower bracket final and the grand final is what we'll be waiting for. And maybe one other series, I'm not sure, on that final weekend. But the Singapore crowd, like the Southeast Asia crowd, is unbelievable. And all the events that all my friends have been to in Southeast Asia say, like, the crowd is so hype. And
nice.
That atmosphere should really be something. So I'm looking forward to that.
Holy crap.
For sure. Just very quickly, we have one final email before we get to the hour mark.
Right.
This is from the foggiest Oggy. Dear P-Flax, Lewis and Sips, I have a hypothetical question for all of you.
Right.
If the royal family decided, I don't know if this is possible, let's imagine they did, like in a Hearts of Iron focus tree, decided to get rid of the government entirely and go back to having the final say with no competition, would the UK be plunged back into the Dark Ages?
Oh, absolutely it would, yeah. There's no way.
I can't imagine any other answer. I mean, yes,
it just
course.
would for sure. It would never work. I don't think that they have the ability to govern like an entire country, especially not a big, complicated country economy and everything like the UK is, right? There's just.
I mean, they would have ministers, right? And they would appoint them.
Sure.
I know that a lot of people say that having that benevolent dictatorship leads to the least friction, and I believe. Let me look up the government of Singapore. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much how Singapore is run. Let me have a look. Government. It's a unitary dominant party parliament republic. Oh, okay, fair enough. Whatever.
I don't know what that is.
Sometimes, though, you get these places where, like, they fail to elect someone and there's, like, no government, and it all plods along just fine. For years, sometimes.
Surprisingly so. I don't know.
I guess, like, this is a broad, we don't know what the answer to this question is. You know, is everything still going to be in place? You know, that they're just chopping off the head and replacing the head, or are we going to get some new bureaucracy of apparatchiks and flunkies? You know, what's the situation going to be? Or, you know, is King Charles having to make all the decisions? I mean, it would obviously be awful, but how awful compared to what we have? You know. I don't know. People always say that, you know, we've got the worst form of government apart from all the others. So,
all right. Well, do you want to hear? Let me tell you this. This is actually quite interesting. This is the government of Singapore. The president. So they have executive, legislative, judiciary. They have the Westminster style system. The president is elected by popular vote for a renewable 6-year term. Requirements for this
Right.
position, which were enacted by I don't know what this government is, are extremely stringent, such that only a handful of people qualify for the candidacy. These qualifications include they need to be 45 years of age or more, and no longer a member of a political party. They have to have either held public office for at least 3 years in a number of specific public service leadership roles, or have 3 years experience as chief executive of a fully profitable private sector company with at least $500 million equity, be a resident of Singapore for at least 10 years, not have a criminal record, and there are some more restrictions. They must also satisfy some specific regulations that they are a person of good integrity, good character, and reputation, and the Constitution of Singapore requires that presidential elections be reserved for specific racial communities if no one from that ethnic group has been elected to the presidency in the 5 most recent terms. So only members of that community would qualify as candidates in a reserved presidential election. In the 2017 presidential election, this combination of stringent requirements and a reserved election meant that the candidate had to come from the 13% Malay ethnic group, so a single person was qualified for office. Just one person,
Jesus.
uncontested, and she became Singapore's first female president.
I'd love this. Imagine if they just turned up at her house and were like, I'm sorry, you're the only person in Singapore eligible who could be president.
You're going to have to be president. It's you or no one. So
I think
yeah.
that's perfect. I think you want to get people in who well, I'm assuming she applied, but
she had to run.
I like those requirements, like of being like a good person or whatever
Yeah.
you said,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
at least, I mean, God, like that would knock off like most of the heads of state.
Boris would have failed that. Fucking unbelievable. Yeah.
Crikey.
True,
And I guess you can't be president and prime minister at the same time, right?
I don't know.
Because
Yeah,
that
I guess.
again feels like a fucking load of bullshit.
bit OP.
Apparently, the corruption in Singapore is like almost non-existent. Like it's one of the lowest places in the world for corruption in Singapore. They've obviously got their shit together, but they do also have very, very harsh criminal justice system by our sort of measure.
Yeah.
It's very, very harsh.
Do they have
but
a 3-strike rule?
no, I think they have. I mean, if it's anything to
It's
do
a
with
one-
drugs, as I understand it, you're going to fucking prison like that.
And the same thing with if you have an OnlyFans, you can be arrested.
Really? Are you
Because
serious?
it's like obscenity. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know that I'm not allowed to vape in Singapore.
Really?
No vape.
Yeah,
Yeah, no vape.
you'll get in trouble if you if you chew gum. I think maybe
What
you're
the
not
hell
even
are you
allowed
going
to
to
chew
do
gum
if you
at all.
can't vape there, Flax?
I'm gonna have to smoke regular cigarettes for a couple of weeks.
You got to go. Is there like a border nearby that you can cross just to have a quick vape and then come back? Or?
I'm not gonna drive all the way out of Singapore just for a vape. No, you're just you
Singapore
can't even bring it
bans
into the
chewing
country.
gum.
Yeah.
It's not illegal to chew gum, but it is against the law to import it and sell it.
Right. So if
there
you
you go.
have a personal amount of gum on you, it's decriminalized. But
But if you're bringing like a briefcase full of it, that's
Gum
you
for
know,
personal use only.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I think they've got like a death sentence for a lot of drug crimes.
we just
and stuff like
intercepted
that.
one of the biggest hauls of hubba bubba this country has ever seen. They got the fucking desk and we got some tutti frutti here. We've got extra candy bubble. Every
The
flavor
picture
of the
the
sun.
picture where they have the drug hall with the officers holding up. He's got loads of Wrigley's.
Yeah.
This has a street value of at least £35.
And in a hidden compartment in the man's car where we found all the hubba bubba, we found some Bazooka Joes as well, complete with comics, and they were old. They were like little bricks.
Tell this was a big operation.
Oh man!
Yeah,
oh,
street
man.
value of 35 quid.
The
Very good.
Sticky Bandits.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh man.
Well,
all right. Well,
right.
that's all.
Thanks so much for the podcast. I'm going to go
That is
and nurse myself back to a reasonable amount of health now with my cold.
Yep. Get well.
The sniffles. Yeah, thank you very much.
You do that.
Yeah. God bless. Peace.
God
All right.
bless.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.